Double chin. Double chin. So yeah, right now I am streaming because I want to kill time. And I had a couple ideas on what to do. Like a couple. I'm like, should I just blast me, how do you call it? Watching Twitch? I mean, not watching Twitch, watching fucking TikTok for the next hour. But then I thought to myself, some of the TikTok videos could be on YouTube and they might strike me. For a moment, I'm like, wait a minute, so I could stream my TikTok experience? And I'm like, nah, don't do that. Then my brain is like, nah, don't do that, because maybe you'll run across a really fucking popular ones, or the really fucking funny ones. I seen one right now, which basically led me to the idea to stream. Which basically led me to the idea of streaming TikTok from my iPad, or just basically just port, like I did before with the mobile game, just port TikTok to my stream and just rewatch the funny ones, just repeat them over and over. But I'm like, nah, that shit might be on the internet, and they might fuck me with it with a strike or some stupid bullshit like that. So, a really funny TikTok video that I seen is this kid with mad hops, you know, teenager, maybe early 20s, with hella heights on that dunk basketball, playing that b-ball, that life, son. So he fucking hopped, and I seen that video before. There's a video of a guy, right, that jumps really fucking high to dunk it, and he just does it too forced, or just dunks way too hard, and the ball hits his face. Just bounce out the backboard and hits his forehead real hard, just like doo-doo, like that. He's like mad forcing that motherfucker, like, yeah, I'ma slam the biscuit, and ends up kissing the ball at force, ends up literally, the ball ends up kissing his forehead at max speed, just like dang dang, like ding dong, but I mean really bad, right? And he just sits down and puts both his hands on his face that he fucked up. So the video that I just seen on TikTok that immediately I wanted to share to everyone is that same video, but they fucking edited it, right? And they basically gave him a basketball head. They made it seem that the guy jumping dunked the ball, and the basketball player ended up with the ball around his head. Like if the ball had completely turned to his head, like, and then he sits on his ass, puts both of his hands near his face, and it's just the guy who tried to dunk the ball with a fucking basketball as a head. Like, like take a whole basketball and then just slide it on my head, and then imagine me and my shoulders, and instead of a head, a basketball like that. And they did that, and that shit was really funny. I didn't laugh, but it was pretty hilarious, and you could just repeat it over and you just watch it, and you would stay laughing. Not laughing, but it's funny as fuck, so you keep watching it over and over and over again. Anyways, I'm streaming just to stay awake. I woke up at 7 today. So, I have to figure out what to do. I have to figure out what to do to not pass out within the hour. Gotta stay awake until 9. Oh, yeah. I don't know what to talk about. Alright, we can go a little bit political. Let's talk about what's happening with the supply chain. So, the world's supply chains are experiencing some form of supply issue. And it's because the supply chain, thanks to COVID, was disrupted. Meaning, you halted supply and demand with a bunch of restrictions, and then you turned it on. All that energy of the previous equilibrium, it's below threshold on both extremes. Like equilibrium of society in that X. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a supply and demand chart. But in business, it's something that's ancient as fuck, and that managers use to fill in holes or fill in price caps. Room. Just basically to see if they're losing or have a room to make more money. That's what they use supply and demand charts for. So, the global economy, it's below threshold, meaning supply is lower and demand is lower. But society is still at the previous equilibrium. Understand what I'm saying? And it took to be in that previous equilibrium, I'm guessing, based on economic growth, how many people there are, how many businesses there are, all this shit, then that equilibrium right there, the EQ of where those lines intersect is basically the equivalent of it's basically the equivalent of an extinct growing economy. That's the equivalent of what people need. And it's high. Or it's higher than before because there's supply and demand issues. So the problem, worldwide, you turned off everything. You turned off supply and demand, right? And you turned it on again. And as you turned it on, you realize that you're not meeting what you meant before. So, to meet what you meant before, companies have to produce more than often. Supplies have to supply as fast. And there has to be less rules, less trade rules. The Jones Act, as an example, is one of those crazy rules here in America that for things to get to port, they have to fucking get to an American port and then get to you. Apparently, it does connect. Let's wait until we're up. All right, now we're up. So you have to force organizations to produce more, too, because you won't be able to lower equilibrium. That's where the market's at. That's what they need. That's there. It's like if you don't meet it, shelves are gonna remain empty, and it's like a swimming pool with a hole on it. It only goes down from there because that was max throughput. You're looking at a factory. Supply and demand in equilibrium. You're looking at a supply that does not need to expand. Think of a chocolate maker that has 25 years of operation and it's stable and doesn't need to produce more chocolate in 20 fucking years. It's going to produce the same thing every fucking day to infinity, and dividends are going to be paid, and employees are going to retire and die, and new employees, like that. Real long-term shit. Equilibrium is long-term shit. Demand is not going to go down. Supply is not going to go down. Or the previous demand and the previous supply isn't going anywhere. It's going to be in there like a dotted line there that you could see or you could graph within the current supply and demand chart in terms of all goods and services and all the means to supply fucking goods and services in the United States. To get it up, to get supply up, you have to increase production or increase supply. To get demand, you have to figure out a combination of American demand and foreign demand that is interested in looking for substitutes. Because some companies are, thanks to Corona, some companies are never going to meet the same demand. So, it's a big issue. That supply shit, Biden wants to Biden just wants to deal with inflation. He wants to stop people from jacking up the price because there isn't any, or people trying to take advantages of more markets. Because since COVID started, certain companies that had massive monopolies, like lumber, like certain of them started jacking up the price mid-March of last year, just through the roof, because they had control of the wood, and that's the problem with the consumerism. When they have control of the asset, when they want to motherfucking charge you $3,000 for a rental apartment that's technically a closet and a motherfucking toilet, not even a sink or a kitchen sink and shit, just a single toilet right there. You see it like a prison. You recognize why, the inherent evil of society. So, the gap to fill is quite vast. Supply chain shortages through the United States are quite vast. And this is in addition to many transportation, freight and cargo and logistical problems. Now I'm going to turn to the President of the United States here for a second. Consider Enrique Daniel Roman Bonilla the President of the United States. Truckers in this country have a big problem, and it's that their job is becoming harder for them to make a dollar, and they control the supply. Like the trucking job in the United States, thanks to Biden, has been turned into a money grab. They're trying to put these rules for truckers so bad that they're not only making money, but they have to lie to their companies to make a dollar, or to basically keep the same amount of money that they kept before, because they're pressuring them to do certain things and catching them with fines and certain things that make it difficult for trucks, which is the supply. If you're looking at the American environment and supply and demand, it's the fucking truck. It's the 18-wheeler. It's the young man with money from his parents that is moving 12,000 pounds. 12,000 tons of freight legally across the United States. That's approximately the maximum per, depending on law, like 12K tons. Or 12K pounds, so 12 tons. No, close. Wait, more 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 6 tons. 6 tons of cargo left and right. Some of them could be food, they could be grain, could be whatever company, whatever whatever, just left and right. And not bidden, but the trucking industry has been turned on its ass because of new laws and shit. And that fucks with supply right there. That's the same, it has the same negative effect like the all right. There we go. So yeah, it's the same thing. Considering the trucking situation in the United States and how it's becoming more strict and more regulations and more Biden-style democratic bullshit, forcing truckers to break the rules to make to at least finish the job. Literally, they have to break rules each time they finish the job, because the rules they put are nearly impossible or are very difficult to complete for the ordinary trucker. And it's been decades of massive changes just to get money from people. Inflate, not and you could consider inflation part of the reason why truckers are getting fucked in the ass more often than not. So you take truckers legislation like the Jones Act, or technically constrict the supply in such a way to make more rules, make it more precise, make it more secure, make more money off of it. Certain things, you start bottlenecking demand and supply. And that's why right now the United States has a massive shortage of shit. Because not only, because one, you have the imaginary dotted line previous demand and supply, which is stable, which is where it's always going to be. You know, it's like I said, like a pool of water with a hole in it. It's always going to be there. You're not going to stop the previous demand. You're just turning everything on to where it was before, and it's going to stay there, and it's probably going to go up. You got to change the laws that improve supply in terms of freedom, so that truckers don't get fucked in the ass and they could have more freedom delivering their shit. You know, you have to sacrifice, you have to start ripping bills related to you have to recede back in time to fix this shit. And you got to force domestic organizations to work harder or around the clock, and you have to look for substitutes, because worldwide you're not going to get the same result, because companies around the globe are not going to produce at the same rate they produced before. So obviously people are fucking dead. People that had those jobs are dead. You know, literally, they're dead, and they're not coming back. And the company is never going to be the same, because it was restructured, debt, no loan. Nothing could save the death of people and something that locked the entire world like COVID. So, Biden is fucked, in my opinion. Biden did certain things that were extremely negative, and right now he fucked up even more with $1 trillion spending and shit. Like, he's been spending trillions like if he could pay him back and shit. So we're gonna have to deal with that for a little bit. And truckers are where they get fucked in the ass. You know, those $1 trillion here and there, those stimulus packages, all of this shit that was given to you is gonna they're gonna take it from you by drilling you in your asshole. You know, by drilling truckers in their asshole, by drilling regular people with money in their asshole. They're gonna blame it on the rich. I'll tax the rich, but that shit don't work. You know, that's the problem in this country. This country is turning more corrupt as time goes on. People are engaging more in fraud than ever. And you could tell when random people talk about fraud, like if it's fucking bread on it, like if it's fucking our Lord's Prayer. People talk about fraud like if it was nothing. Telling you the methods themselves. Yeah, fuck it. Just lie to the company and tell them you didn't get it and get money from them, Society, so people are turning stupider than ever, and some of them are catching up quick into what they could get away with it. We're descending into hell at a rapid pace. Literally. Descending into hell. But it's how, people who are good, Deus Vult, does that oath to protect Christ in the Bible and just faithful to Jesus Christ to the end, we're going to see them burn and suffer. Real people do real shit, And I didn't shave today. I look sort of like a mercenary. I am violating one single military code. Write me up for this one for one single day. Look how I look for one single day. I look fucking coated in hair, even underneath the chin. So, yeah, that's probably that's what I think is the main central concern in terms of demand and supply in the United States. The dotted line, or the intersecting line where it was before, supply problems, focus on truckers. Google challenges truckers face today in America and realize how they're getting drilled in their ass. Not only by inflation, but by the fucking states trying to put more rules and make it impossible for them to do their job. Literally having to lie every fucking day to complete loads. Getting fucked in the ass for no, doing jobs that make no, working a whole year for $6,000 with so many problems in between, making it, a job that was once one of the best jobs ever slowly turned into nothing through fees. Not through fees, but through fines, through the way that you have to lie to earn that amount of money, are technically the reasons why the United States has a poor supply problem. And, stupid bullshit rules like, trucks can't be on the third lane. They have to stay on the second lane. If they are on the third lane, we're going to fine them $300, recognizing that they will congest traffic more if they stay on the first two lanes as people are trying to merge in and out of the interstate. Shit like that are precisely why the supply chain in the United States is hurt. Focus on the truckers and focus on port. Not just staffing port, not just getting the stuff out of the boats fast enough, not just better logistics, just rules there in the port, laws, regulations, and rules of port, just to make it secure and just to protect the integrity of the port of the United States or whatever. But right there, those two places are where the problem comes from. Trying to make it too strict, trying to make more money out of people, trying to, shit that has been changed over time by presidential campaigns or part of presidential packages, just like the truckers, are infrastructure bills, all that bullshit. Infrastructure bills, Paris Accord bills, all that shit has fucked with the infrastructure. You take Mexico as an example, and I remember Mexico recently removed 10-year-old or greater than 10-year-old trucks from the road, meaning based on the Paris Accord rules, because I remember my mind is fucking transparent in certain things that I remember. Mexico removed trucks that are older than 11 years from their highways because of smog, because of the CO2 and diesel combustion they produce, meaning the old cars, the old trucks, all tied to the infrastructure, or the truckers had to either purchase a new car or they wouldn't be able to purchase a new truck, or they wouldn't be able to supply or keep their job. They wouldn't be able to continue transporting goods and services within Mexico. And that's one of the many things that could fuck up a whole supply chain right there. You're grounding a bunch of trucks. Mexico grounded, thanks to the Paris Accord, a bunch of trucks. I don't know how many, but I know it happened because I remember I read it. And they're basically just keeping up with rules from Europe. Basically keeping up with rules from Europe, with these countries that are small and can afford certain luxuries like renewable energy and all that bullshit. Those people, G12 summits and all that bullshit, are slow. Though their ideas are starting to get into the Americas, because the Americas are usually last. In terms of those changes, Canada, Mexico, United States are last to any environmental rule within the Eurozone, within like the 16, 17 countries that have the Euro. Those people are ahead in anything climate based. And you could consider that another reason why the supply chain in the United States is gonna, it's kind of frail, and if you don't put a lot of if you don't put a lot of pressure into it, you might continue. You might stay behind. It's like if you don't either add more water or make sure the water gets into the pool better, you're going to continue losing water, and you're going to continue having to add water more over time. But it's going to take years, because remember, that equilibrium, for those who don't understand supply and demand, that equilibrium took the amount of time, took the same amount of time it took to grow the economy. You understand what I'm saying? And then subtract the lack of demand from companies that can't supply anymore, the people who are dead, and supply chain problems. Because that's how you reach equilibrium. Your companies or whatever work at a particular energy, expend a particular amount of energy to provide at a particular rate that their suppliers need. Because if they provide too much, they lose money. If they're surplus, they're losing money. If you want to be efficient, you produce as much as you're going to sell. But if you can't make it there, it's going to take time. So the supply chain issue isn't going to go away. Companies could probably think about making money if they focus on producing more, but it's not going to solve the problem, because there's always going to be more need. Not because of society growing, but because of the on and off. Because it took a long time for it to be stable. The previous equilibrium took a long time to maintain. Companies got used to producing certain things at a particular rate for 20. Like I said, the chocolate factory reference. X company knows that they need to produce chocolate this same way, the same way, until 3 generations of employees die. And they're not going to change. Hershey isn't going to change how much chocolate they produce. They're going to continue producing the same fucking thing to infinity. Not more, no less. The same exact thing. And when some of those companies that have products on that shelf can't do that, then you see the decline. That's why they're not there on the shelf. If they can't provide it. And it's going to take a really long time. Well, for some companies, they're never going to come back from this. But there is money to be made. So the United States has either to look for substitutes, pressure companies into producing more, and start tightening his fucking cock around, start letting go of the grip with his cock on the truck, on the truckers. Because they're bad. The United States has to let go of that fucking iron grip to them trucks, my guy. Because that's where this, if you losing it like before, with no, because I also saw a video on the trucking recently, like October new, fairly recently, on the supply chain issue, and it's on truckers. They're forcing truckers to drive 14 hours, and things throughout the day aren't, once they enter and start the job, aren't 14 hours. So they need to fabricate what they did during the day in a particular manner that upholds the law within the 14-hour range. So they wake up at 8, they wait 8 hours to get the load in. It took him 8 hours. All they got left to drive to a particular destination is 7 hours, and their trucks go 62 miles an hour, and they can't make it. They within that 14-hour range, they can't make it. So they're out there right now. Truckers are out there right now, not only doing these forced wait stops with these registration. You seen those Easy Pass bullshit? Well, they have these things that make sounds and vibrate inside the trucker to tell him to come in and weigh himself during, just to track where the truck is through the interstate. And every time, you're driving and basically you're going state to state. And if the thing vibrates, you have to go weigh yourself, drive through there really slow and keep going. Some of them don't work, charging fucking truckers $1,000 a pop because of faulty devices. The ticket related to the third lane, speed tickets, having to fabricate their own kit, the fucking, all these new rules that Biden put on. Biden supported as a member of Congress, and right now are the main reasons why supply chain is fucked up. Because the truckers are feeling pressured to do certain things, and technically to keep their measly job, they need to steal. They're not even $10,000 a year, my guy. A trucker isn't $10,000 a year. Some of the best definitely are, but not the regular ordinary trucker. Regular ordinary trucker is making less than $10,000 a year. You know why he's making less than $10,000 a year? Because the fines are fucking him in the ass. And they're all different state to state too. It isn't just like you're dealing with a central law abiding, a central law force in which you need to pay here, and all the rules you broke are X amount of money. Now they're all different, and they're all from everywhere, and they make them pay today. You gotta pay today $300. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, and in the end, including gas, you're making less than a guy working at McDonald's, or about a full time in McDonald's. When before, a trucker in the United States was a fucking job of prestige. It was what people went there to do, to fucking drive around the United States and enjoy that motherfucker. Like drive 10 hours a day, but enjoy that motherfucker because you're having a lot of fun. I think it's fun as shit. Just like, imagine an automatic one, just like that. Just chilling all day in that motherfucker in a comfortable seat, and just pass out when you're done and repeat the same shit the next morning. So yeah, those are where the problem, the problems within the United States, they're real problems. Thanks to the effemination and bastardization and the feelings of people when they hear the truth that they dislike, will never be published. Because society is so weak, society is so fruity, society is so fucking infantile, society is so offended, gets so bullshit by by someone getting indicted at charges because they're white. Because they're white. Indicted because they're white, and they start blurting out white supremacy or whatever. The human condition within the United States and the mental condition of people is so fucked up. News companies aren't going to focus on the real problems. They aren't going to put on the news television at CNN. Truckers mad as fuck at the government. They have an anaconda double hand grip on their dick and on their lifestyle. They should not be suffering this way. And then put like Joe right there, or Fred with a microphone in his hand. Fuck her right in the pussy. I don't want to deal with this trucking job anymore. I don't want to be paying. I don't want to be doing this. And then some other truckers, I quit my college to do this shit, and I started making $12,000, and today all I got to my name is $1,000. Because these assholes keep fucking my ass on new rules every 6 months, and all this shit is broken. I haven't tried to break the law, but I keep breaking the fucking law just by being myself, just by doing my fucking job, because they're getting caught You know, they're getting fined $1,400 because of that fucking plastic bullshit, or that sensor thing in that weight station didn't go. You know, because of faulty equipment, they're getting fucked in the ass. $1,500, $700, and they're paying now. They're not like, wait a minute, or wait a month, or wait until you get paid. Nah, these cocksuckers, they make truckers pay now. $1,000, you know, pay now $1,400, like that. And that type of condition within the roadside and infrastructure tied into the $1 trillion that Biden wanna fucking fix the roadways in America and all that bullshit. That's where that pressure is headed, to those men's pockets, you know. But the United States is so weak mentally. They have the motherfucking attention span of some queer kid who is getting bullied at school, who can't listen to shit that's gonna offend him. You know, on all honesty, they're so, you know, newscasts on in America aren't waking up people and what they think that on the things that they need to be waking up people on to get shit done. You know, people are not going to wake up and they're not going to be like, nah, we got to, you know, they're not going to voice between themselves. We got to do something about the supply chain problem because CNN said so. That's not what sells, my guy. That would offend people if they did that shit. If Fred really grabbed that microphone and said, fuck her right in the pussy, we need to fix the fucking trucks. I'm not making any money out of this shit anymore, and there's a supply chain problem. We're gonna fucking riot. We're gonna fucking riot, and we're not gonna deliver no more frozen pizzas. There ain't gonna be no more DiGiorno on time on this shit. No more DiGiorno, you know, like that. And they're not gonna put that shit on national television. They're not gonna, because society is fucked. Society is on a downward spiral into hell, and if it's offending, if it, you know, the need to be politically correct, the need that it, you know, the message has to sell, it has to tie to the specific values, it has to tie to the specific fucking political candidate, it has to tie to the specific racial, you know, how do you call it, racial identity agenda. You know, newscasts aren't doing the 1990s to early 2000 thing that they used to do. You know, newscasts used to be some, you know, a medium that voiced things to the community that you heard and spoke about. Be like, oh shit, truckers are fucked, you know, and that shit resonates through the million people that are watching through that shit, and shit happens after that. You know, take CNN, a couple of them, national ones, to broadcast a couple of news on certain topics, and they quickly fix shit. But with racial identity politics, with, you know, with fucking virtue signaling, with all that bullshit that's fucking popular and what's selling, the real news are getting filtered through that motherfucker, and real people are sitting here through Facebook figuring out that there's a real problem, through the recommended feed on YouTube to check if it's a, you know, looking for the news that they want to see to check if there's a real problem, but that those news aren't getting broadcasted in order to make real change, and blame the psychological condition of Americans, you know, or technically blame the psychological conditions of society at a worldwide scale. They're all bastardized. They're all so weak in the head. They can't hear the, you know, opposing arguments because they just want to fucking grab a broken beer bottle and cut their chest open and do some stupid ass shit, you know, or riot, chimp out, just be bad, be just stupid motherfuckers. And that's what's happening. That's, you know, that's the main reason why things haven't changed in a particular alarming rate, because society's picking up their hand, you know, they're picking up pitchforks and they're picking up, you know, fucking swords and guns and shit for the shit that matter to them, but the shit that matter to them aren't the shit that run the country, you know. Us, you know, us, we matter. But look what's happening around you. You know, look what's happening to the real picture, and figure out if you're if it's more attention to if it's more important to focus on television, black on black crime, or another black, you know, another African American murder, than a real supply chain issue, or something you know, news with lumber, you know, news with lumber dealing with wood, or news affecting everyone economically. They're not going to do that because they want to hit, you know, what sells is, you know, hitting your feelings. To them, news now, that's all that sells. Hitting your fucking feelings. You know, appealing with your feelings. Hitting you with news that affect you the most psychologically, so you continue choosing like a psychological warrior on the things that you identify and hurt you the most. Oh, that hurt you? You want to be one of them? Well, fuck you. Be a gray motherfucker then. You know, instead of being unique, you want to be one that feels offended. Offended, and that's the same bullshit that has the country in hell. That's the same, that idea in feelings is the same shit that has people corrupt as hell. The same shit that has people, how do you call it? Talking about fraud openly. Yeah, just lie and get money from the bank. Just deny that you took this charge that they stole your credit card and use your brand new iPad. You know, they stole my credit card information and they bought this $8,000 PC and it's sitting in your fucking house. You know, and society's going to continue doing that because they're everyone's, you know, news and everything, and society itself is turning everyone to a fucking victim, and they're turning even more corrupt and more evil than ever. They're turning bad, and people who are bad make people suffer, and who suffer are the people that can't voice the news right. You know, people that can't scream fire, fire. The truckers, let go of my dick. You're squeezing it. Let go, it's my fucking job. You know, Fred, fuck her right in the pussy. Like that. Let us work. You know, and they're not going to let him work because Biden wants that money. Biden needs that money to run the entire thing. You know, every time they miss a weight station, they need that $1,400 to line their pockets and to pay the people that work in that place. So you know for a fact, psychologically, or you know, you put the maths together, $1.4 trillion are going to continue coming out the truckers' pockets because the government wants to continue fucking them with no lubrication. And you know, that's not one industry that's fucked because of the government. You gotta find more of them, and if you look hard enough, you'll find them. But if you don't put them on television and people don't care about them, they'll stay there. They'll stay that way. And nobody's going to give a fuck. You know? Nobody's going to give a fuck about that shit. Be like, yeah, fuck it. Supply chain issues, there's no fucking ice cream in the fucking supermarket. You didn't pay attention to that trucker, my guy. That trucker has been screaming for help. That trucker has been telling you, let go of my dick. You're squeezing my shit too tight, you know. You robbed them motherfuckers dry. Nice. 9 p.m. It's time for me to go. 9 p.m. Yeah, it's time for me to go to sleep. This is the official. So, pay attention. What you know, you continue to pay attention to people and feelings and identity, and people getting acquitted, and oh my God, justice, equality, liberty, and you notice that your system is fucked, and people are suffering, and now it's starting to affect the real important motherfuckers. The truck is the most important motherfucker in the entire thing. You know, the trucker is the most important motherfucker to feed your kid. You know, without the trucker, you don't eat. Without the fucking truck with the milk, my guy, just the milk truck, you starve. Just the milk truck. The milk truck itself, the milk truck and the juice truck, you'll get scurvy. You'll get ill. The truck is basically the one keeping you this obese. And I see this chin. Without the truck, without adequate trucks, people wouldn't be this obese. They wouldn't. They wouldn't have this double chin up, triple cheeseburger with bacon face. They wouldn't have this shit because they'll starve, and others will starve at a greater rate if trucks don't come back. And in places where there's no rules in trucking, it's the wild, wild west. It's massive price disparities everywhere. We're going to take the example of Puerto Rico, where trucking is the wild, wild west. You're out there you have a restaurant in Puerto Rico, in the current condition of trucking and the monopoly these motherfuckers have between middlemen that want to have an import and export license for their eBay or whatever, and the actual truckers that do the job deliver, the actual companies with the outdated hardware and all the sell trucks that actually move shit, you end up asking for fucking grade A beef, you get grade F beef and rotten. You get the bottom of the barrel. Because that's what happens when there's not enough rules. But when there's too much rules, they don't work. What happens if Biden doesn't control the trucking shit, prices will start being really different across places. This is personal experience. Talking about same distributor will charge totally different in different spots for his speculative cost for distributing the same shit. Meaning, a liter of milk would be $1 extra up the hill, just because he had to drive up the hill, and down the hill will be 60 cents less. Or in a more special area, 60 cents less. Likely because it's next to the gas lane or next to the gas pump, they could just fill up. And that's how it is when there is no rules. Trucks start making up, they start distributing and getting rich off it, doing however the fuck they want to do it. And they start fucking you. The truck starts fucking you with the cost and giving you whatever the fuck you want. Whatever the fuck you didn't want, it's what you're going to get. Oh, I want beef. I want half a quarter of a cow. You don't get half a quarter of a cow. You get whatever the fuck the man has, and then you have to wait a long time or file a massive complaint to get that quarter of a cow sent in. You're sitting there with something you didn't want in your store or in your restaurant, dealing with the wild, wild west. Because there's, poor logistics, monopolies, old trucks, just bad, a bad supply chain, like a bad supply chain. Here in the United States, you have a modernized, but it's too modernized, and it's starting to fuck the trucker in the ass. Deep. Because that job used to be $25K a year. Used to be. 25, 22K a year. And fun as fuck. The whole country for you to see. But now, 6,000 and having to lie every day to keep, to keep the rules, in addition to getting fucked and having to pay in the ass, having to pay out the ass $1,000 fines instant. They have to pay right now during that stop. During that stop or within the 24 hours, something that you have to pay out of pocket for certain things based on malfunctions on their infrastructure system. And then Biden wants to add another $1 trillion to it. And where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from you, me, from Fred, who's gonna get even madder than fuck around the pussy. He's gonna get even more madder. Fred's gonna look at me in that face, grab that microphone, and just smoke gonna come out that man's nose, just like wants to say it real loud, like yeah, bad, because they're suffering. People are gonna suffer, and that's where the supply chain's coming from. So yeah, that's where most of the supply chain problems is coming from. Because without them, you don't eat, my guy. You got a bunch of diseases without a couple trucks. You starve, my guy. You starve. The truck, you starve. No more chin. No more hamburger. Nothing. No truck, bruh. You're gonna have to need a horse. You're right. You're gonna need to go somewhere to get that food. Because it's not gonna be there. It's not gonna be there, my guy. You're gonna starve that motherfucker. You're gonna be like scurvy. Your children gonna get sick. No medicine, nothing in the counter, nothing. No trucks, no nothing. That's how this place works. You can do a little trucks, but no trucks. Interstate transportation of goods and services, you ain't got shit. You ain't got shit. And that's where the problems come from. But if society don't want to talk about it, trying to hide it, you have to look for these news that are important. Or society continues just focusing on identity politics, white people getting acquitted of crimes, liberty, justice, and equality for women, race, equality, all that fucking bullshit, health, marijuana, pot, getting high. Not gonna get anywhere. Society isn't focused on the right shit, and we're heading a downward spiral to hell. We're gonna continue claiming they didn't buy shit when they frauded, when they straight frauds. More people are gonna be gooshied out in the street, claiming that they rich, but they really just stole everything. No ethics, nothing. Not people that have that real strong, grounded sense of reality. They just want to fake it till they make it, or steal it until you win. Not worth it. I'm gonna shut down the stream. Hope you guys got fun. Hope you guys have fun with the way that I put words together, because it's funny. To me, if you see me laughing, to me it's kind of funny. So I hope you guys have fun. I'm past the fuck as I woke up at 7 today. Peace.